Hi, friend. Welcome back to the show. This is Phillip. I hope this past week has given you a little space to breathe, to rest your heart, and to find small moments of strength that help you keep moving forward. Today, I want to talk about something deeply relevant to anyone who is trying to live soulfully in work, relationships, family, personal growth, or faith. It's the question of why we sometimes feel stuck even when we are working hard, and how we can move from fixing surface problems to understanding the deeper system underneath. Very often, when tension keeps repeating or result doesn't change, the challenge isn't that we aren't capable or disciplined enough. Instead, we may be looking at the wrong layer of the situation. A project keeps failing, communication in a team keeps breaking down, or pressure at home keeps rising, and we start to wonder, is it me? Am I not good enough? But many times, it isn't the failure itself that traps us. It's the lens we are using to interpret what's happening. Across psychology, management, and medicine, there's a shared insight. Many difficult problems are not individual problems, but system problems. They grow out of structure, workload, habit, assumptions, emotional pressure, and communication patterns. Interacting over time, when we only repair what we can see on the surface, we end up treating symptoms instead of addressing causes. Things improve for a while, and then the same issue returns because the system that produced it never changed. When we zoom out, frustration often turns out to be a signal. It may be telling us that expectations are misaligned, that our pace is unsustainable, or that unspoken feelings have been accumulating beneath the surface. So, why do we miss the real problem? Partly because our brain craves simple explanation. We want a single cause. Someone didn't do their job. One step failed, and that feels decisive. But it's often incomplete. We also rely too heavily on past experience. Last time, the reason was X, so it must be X again. But people change. Pressure changes. Circumstances change, and when those change, the nature of the problem may also change. And sometimes we simply don't notice that the environment itself makes success difficult. Unclear roles, fragmented communication, overloaded schedule, or cultures where people don't feel safe speaking up. In reality, most problems are not isolated moments. They are patterns forming over time. That's why tools like 5 system mapping and hypothesis testing exists, not to assign blame, but to widen our perspective and let truth reveal itself gradually. And when we pair that with the attitude of looking, listening, asking, and examining, we start reacting in panic and begin responding with awareness. We pause before defining the problem, sense the emotional climate, understand context, and keep space for multiple explanations instead of rushing to the first one. This is what moves us from treating symptoms to healing roots. Amy Emerson, in Right Kind of Wrong, called this system awareness. She reminds us that many failures come from structures that make error more likely. Misaligned incentives, restricted communication, overloaded work, or culture that discourage vulnerability. If we discipline people without redesigning the environment, failure simply reappears somewhere else. One striking example is hospital infection control. For years, leaders assumed infections were caused by careless staff, but deeper research revealed something different. Hand washing stations were far from patient area. Tours were inconvenient, schedules were exhausting, and it felt uncomfortable to point out environmental risk. Staff were hardworking and committed, but the system made success difficult. Once the hospital redesigned layout, simplified workflow, improved handover, and encouraged open communication, infection rates dropped, not because people changed, but because the environment did. The lesson wasn't someone failed. The lesson was the system make it hard to succeed. And when we apply that to our own life, the question becomes gentler and more honest. Where I keep feeling stuck, is the problem really my willpower or worse? Or is my life structure out of alignment with what I'm trying to do? Maybe you are not failing at discipline. Maybe your schedule doesn't allow real rest. Maybe your child isn't careless. Maybe routine need redesign. Maybe you are not emotionally weak. Maybe expectations have been unsustainable for too long. When we see that something softens, we start blaming ourselves and start redesigning our environment. We start forcing our way through and start creating conditions that help us thrive. We start fighting symptoms and begin healing systems. So, if you are in a season that feels stuck in work, family, calling, or your inner world, Maybe it isn't a sign of failure. Maybe it's an invitation to look again, to notice patterns, to understand where pressure is coming from, and to make small, meaningful adjustments in the places that matter. Even small adjustments can reshape rhythm, restore energy, and reopen conversations that once felt impossible. They can mark the beginning of a different kind of growth, one guided not by fear, but by awareness, wisdom, and compassion. If today's episode encouraged you, I'd love for you to share it with someone who is trying hard but feels tired, or someone who needs the reminder that failure is not always condemnation. Sometimes it is simply a message pointing us toward what needs care, attention, and redesign. Thanks so much for spending this time with me. I'm Phillip, and I will see you in the next episode.